वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, we're continuing. Text 18, chapter 9. Just,
Give it to Prabhu. Give it to Prabhu.
no, she wants the thing. But clean it.
Oh, it's okay.
Clean it. It's got yogurt and all stuff.
Okay.
Alright, let's chant. Text 18. Yasmadimemi ahamapi viparadadishnyam Adyasita sakalaloka namaskritam yad Tepe tapo bahusavo varurutsamanas Tasmai namo bhagavate dimakaya tubhyam
Tasmai namo bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Your Lordship, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you who are indefatigable, time, and the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Although I am situated in an abode which will continue to exist for a time duration of 2 prarardas, although I am the leader of all other planets in the universe, and although I have undergone many, many years of penance for self-realization, still I offer my respects unto you. He's the firstborn, the greatest person, and he's very humble. So he's offering his respectful obeisance to the Lord. He lives for a long time also, but still, compared to the Lord, it's nothing. Text 19. Teya manusya vibudadishu jiva yonishu Atmechayatma kritasetu parikshayaya Veme nirasta vishayopi avruddha deha Tasmai namo bhagavate purushottamaya
Tasmai namo bhagavate purushottamaya.
O my Lord, by your own will, you appear in the various species of living entities, among animals lower than human beings, as well as among the demigods. Perform your transcendental pastimes. You are not affected by material contamination. You come just to fulfill the obligations of your own principles of religion. And therefore, O Supreme Personality, I offer my obeisances unto you for manifesting such different forms. So Allah has many, many different forms, right? Ramadi Murteshu Kalaniyamena Tistam Anavataram Aparo Bhuvaneshu Krishna Swayam Samavabat Paramaha Bhuvan Yo Govindam. So many type of incarnation. So unlimited incarnation actually. So, and he takes different, sometimes he comes as a fish, Matsya, Varaha, and all these things. So, Brahma is saying, you come in so many different ways. He's astonished at the same time, he's amazed, and he's in awe also. And why does the Lord come? He comes to fulfill the obligations of principles of religion. Dharmam to Shaksha Bhagavat Vanita. And that's the reason why the Lord appears in so many different incarnations, so that the principles of Dharma are maintained, and so that his devotees can continue practicing and have relationship with him. Text 20. यो विद्ययानुपहतोऽपि दशर्धवृत्त्या निद्रामुवाह जठरीकृतलोकयात्रः अन्तर्जले हि कशिपुस्पशनुकूलम् भीमोर्मिमालिनि जनस्य सुखं विवृण्वान् My Lord, you accept the pleasure of sleeping in the water of devastation, where there are violent waves, and you enjoy pleasure on the bed of snakes, showing the happiness of your sleep to intelligent persons. At that time, all the universal planets are stationed within your abdomen. Yeah, so if you are not a devotee, you cannot accept this statement. It becomes very not this kind of ridiculous. Who will sleep? Who can sleep nicely in the water? Even in the beach, you can. I mean, unless you are. Some people can, I guess. But this is violent wave, so nobody will be there. People will be running away. Huh? Yeah, and on top of a snake bed. So this sounds so imaginary. It cannot be real for most people. So therefore, unless you have devotional understanding, we cannot accept all this. It becomes like someone making up a fairy tale. And so most of the time you find a lot of people ridicule our scriptures, saying that it is a bunch of fairy tale or mythological figures like that. But that's what makes it interesting, because these things are real. From our understanding, from our acharyas and so on, we can really understand that the Lord does sleep in the water of devastation, and there's such a thing, and that he sleeps on a snake bed. Don't bite your fingernail.
Just because the average people cannot sleep on a snake,
Yes.
they think that Lord cannot sleep.
Yes.
That's our view of the anthropology.
Yeah, so, well, it's a very narrow vision, because, as you say, we compare ourselves with the Lord to say, I can't do it, how can the Lord do it, right? All right. So, and not only that, he's happy doing the Lord. You know? When we are supposed to lie on a bed of snakes, we are worried. I mean, we will get worried and scared. And then, intelligent people can accept it. Intelligent people are devotees. So from this point onwards, Brahma is us going to pray to the Lord for empowerment. He knows he has to create, so he's going to ask the Lord to give him the Shakti to create. Text 21. Yanna vipatna bhavanada hamasamidya lokatrayopakarano yatanugrahena tasmai namasta udarasta bhavaya yoga Nidravasana vikasannalini nekshanaya It's a nice word, nalini nekshanaya. O object of my worship, I am born from the house of your lotus navel for the purpose of creating the universe by your mercy. All these planets of the universe were stationed within your transcendental abdomen while you were enjoying sleep. Now, your sleep having ended, your eyes are open like blossoming lotuses in the morning. So basically, he's wanting to start the creation. The planets, everything he's saying here is all in the Lord's abdomen. Yeah. But now it's in the lotus section. Let's go next text, text 22. Soyam samasta jagatam surit eka atma.
Soyam samasta jagatam sureka atma.
Satvena yan hridayate bhagavan bhagena.
Satvena yan hridayate bhagavan bhagena.
Tenaiva me drisham anusprishtad yataham.
Tenaiva me drisham
Shakshyami purvavanidam pranata priyosau.
Sakshyami purvadaritam priyosau.
Let the Supreme Lord be merciful towards me. He is the one friend and soul of all living entities in the world, and he maintains all for their ultimate happiness by his 6 transcendental opulences. May he be merciful towards me, so that I, as before, may be empowered with the introspection to create, for I am also one of the surrendered souls who are dear to the Lord. So he's pleading with the Lord. He's saying, please allow me to do that. He's not saying I can do it. Say, please allow me to do it. So it's a difference of, nature, the culture behind this, and the way in society we are. Our culture is, even if you don't know, you tell, I know how to do it. And then you put forward your resume and then hope for the best, right? Yeah, that's what most people do nowadays. That's prevalent in material society. Whereas there he's asking the Lord to be merciful. He's being realistic. Here you can't be realistic. If you are realistic, either they say you have no intelligence, you're too soft and all this. They will say like that. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, in the middle of the purport, Lord Brahma prayed for his mercy so that he might be able to create the universal affairs as he did before. So remember, Brahma remembers that he did this function before. So he's saying that as before. Okay? Only by the Lord's causeless mercy could he create both material and spiritual personalities like Marichi and Narada respectively. So Brahma is also creator of all these people. From him they come. They are the mental sons. Okay. Brahma prayed to the Lord because he is very much dear to the surrendered soul. Who is very dear? Krishna. Krishna is very. The surrendered souls knows nothing but the Lord, and therefore the Lord is very affectionate towards him. It means they only have the Lord as their life and soul, all in all. So that's why the Lord becomes dear to them and they become dear to the Lord. Gold bars.
Actually, elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, Aham Bhakta Paradino. So he's always.
I'm always the well-wisher of the Bhaktas. Text 23. Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shatya.
Esha prapanna varado ramayatma shatya.
Yadyat karishyati grihita gunavatara.
Yadyat karishyati grihita gunavatara.
Tasmin swavikramam idam srijatopi cheto.
Tasmin swavikramam idam srijatopi cheto.
Jita karma shamalam cha yata vijayam.
Jita karma shamalam cha yata vijayam.
The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is always the benefactor of the surrendered souls. His activities are always enacted through his internal potency, Rama, or the goddess of fortune. I pray only to engage in his service in the creation of the material world. And I pray that I not be materially affected by my works, for thus I may be able to give up the false prestige of being the creator. So, this is interesting because remember in the second canto he prayed, he said the same thing.
Yes.
Isn't it? Remember? So he said, I don't want to be covered by the material nature. He's so afraid. He's afraid to do this service, and he's worried that he may be covered by the pride. Whereas we may not think like that. When we are given tasks, we'll think we can do it. And we may not ask anybody's help. No, we are like that. No? Correct? Yeah, we think like that. So you can see, so good to read the Bhagavatam and then try to. Brahma, the firstborn, our preceptor, he's so humble in his. So we also have to say, if he can be humble, then we better be humble. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Brahma, who's only an assistant in the modes of creation, wanted to remain in his actual position as an instrument of the Lord instead of becoming puffed up by the false prestige of thinking himself the creator. That is the way of becoming dear to the Supreme Lord and receiving his benediction. So whatever we do, we should always give it to Krishna. Yes, Juhusi. So like that, everything you give it as a offering onto the Lord. So that's one of the ways you cultivate daily, every day you offer. At the end of the day, when you come back, whatever you did, you say, I'm offering to you.
Because it's actually done by his energy.
And his energy, yes. Exactly.
It's actually, that is the reality.
Instrument.
Yeah,
The reality is that.
that's why Prakriti Kriyamani Guna Sarva. Because you can't do anything without the material energies working through him. We desire and she will do it.
Yeah.
Through him, by his permission. So therefore, we cannot be puffed up thinking, I am doing this.
One point, also leave on like on the lecture. So what we got it, what we have created, we don't have anything.
Nothing.
So when you say sacrifice, what you have, what you have sacrificed, you don't have anything to sacrifice.
Sacrifice our desire.
So he gave example of Ganga water, I think. Offering to Ganga.
Yes. Yeah, you offer the Ganges water back to Ganga. That's true. That's a good example. Yeah. So that's the way of becoming dear to the Supreme Lord and receiving his benediction. Foolish men want to take credit for all creations made by them. But intelligent persons know very well that not a blade of grass can move without the will of the Lord. Thus all the credit for wonderful creations must go to him. So people will say, oh, if even a blade of grass will move without the Lord, then I'm also doing mistake by the will of the Lord. That's how they will say. Huh?
Nonsense, they want to blame it on.
Huh? Yeah, they like to blame it, but that's how they talk, right? The Lord, even the blade cannot move without the will. So I must be committing sins because of the will of the Lord. That's how they will say. So what you will say to them?
It is the desire of them, but the Lord is sanctioned. But because it is your desire, you are responsible.
You are
Responsibility.
Yeah,
Lord
exactly.
sanctioned you, not sanction as you.
Yeah.
Exercising your free will.
Yes, very minute free will.
Like the example in Bhagavad Gita, you were reading all the chat things. Like the example of the flower, the Lord, that you can smell the fragrance of the flower.
Yeah.
So the super soul can perceive what's your desire, like it's smelling the fragrance, and then will facilitate
Sanction
or
it.
sanction it.
And another
Another
example,
we are so-
another example to that also we can give probably giving like a child wants to instantly like always want to touch the rotating fan and he doesn't understand. So when he touch it, then he knows the reaction. So father sanctioned the child mistake. He wants it to touch the fan while it's rotating.
If the father sanctions.
So Krishna sanctioned it.
So that you
He
learn
always
from mistake.
want to do it. Even father sanctions.
You learn by experience.
No, but we don't learn. Yeah, we say we will learn, but we don't. So all the credits for the wonderful creations must go to him. The foolish people say this thing happened by chance. But actually everything is created by the Master. By spiritual consciousness only can one be free from the contamination of material affection and receive the benedictions offered by the Lord. So basically, you have to be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, you cannot get out of this trap. It is a trap because we tend to fall into this understanding that I am the doer. So it's a trap. It's a trap. Whether you think it's not a trap or not, it is a trap. You are trapped in this place. So we have to do devotional service to get out of this thinking of controlling and so on. All this must be given up. Okay. Text 24. Nadi radat iha satum ambasi yasya pumso Vijnana Shakti Rahamasam Ananta Shakti Rupam Vichitramidamasya Vivrinvato me Mari Vishishta Nigamasya Giram Visargaha The Lord's potencies are innumerable. As He lies down on the water of devastation, I am born as the total universal energy from the navel lake in which the lotus sprouts. I am now engaged in manifesting His diverse energies in the form of the cosmic manifestation. I therefore pray that in the course of my material activities, I may not be deviated from the vibration of the Vedic hymns. So that means there's a chance even for Brahma to be deviated.
Dealing with passion.
Yeah. That means, same, we all have to some degree passion also. So we may also think like that, I'm doing. So he's afraid. So, and his position is so high, so much energy is of Lord is manipulating. So he's very afraid. He's worried that he may think he's God like that. In the purport, yeah, he's thinking, he's very worried. Prabhupada writes, every person engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord in this material world is prone to so many material activities. Right? So you do so many things. You have to meet with people, you have to go to printers, you got to plan stuff, you got to meet with so many other people, right? For projects, for whatever you do at the temple, you got to book the place, you got to get the permission, city officials, so many things. Transportation, get all different kind of people you're going to meet. So there's always some interaction with the material nature. And if one is not strong enough to protect himself against the onslaught of material affection, he may be diverted from the spiritual energy. So when you're doing this, sometimes people from outside, they will say, oh, you're so good, you can do all these things, you're so wonderful. Then you get bewildered, no? If you are not strong, you can easily get bewildered. They'll say, oh, you're so good, right? So it's true, right? If you're going, like you go to do some salesman and then you're selling and then you see a CEO and she's very pretty and she will touch you and then you think, oh no. You might think like that, oh, I must be good looking or whatever. So the material nature can be like that. What are you talking about? So you have to be strong enough. That means your sadhana must be very pakka. Every day you must chant at least 16 rounds before you start the day. Actually, that is the standard. So you have to get up at 4 o'clock, whether you go and dress the deities or not. You should get up at 4, chant your rounds, and then go to work. And that way, if you get up early, you are forced to go to bed early. Otherwise, you all are on the internet sending text messages and so on. Cannot sleep. Unless you have intercontinental transactions for your work, you should be in bed by 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Yeah, otherwise it will be a ghostly time and then only ghosts and crazy people are up at after 10:30.
See, like he likes to do our homework at that time.
But yeah, that's the problem nowadays in schools. They give so much homework, the kids stay up very late. That is not their fault, actually. But I wonder if there's no homework, what will they be doing? But it's true, they got too much homework, kids. They carry like 50 pounds bag, meaningless. By the time they are adults, they got back problems. So, sadhana is very important. Very important. You have to somehow make sure you can chant as many rounds before you go to work. So then when you come back, you are less to worry. Otherwise, if you get whole 16 hours at the end of the day, then you will be just talking to your husband, wife, children, chanting at the same time. What chanting?
If you come from the home, you never get a chance to chant.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You have to take care of children, you have to take care of the wife, husband, shopping, yeah. Then you have to call India, your mother, your father, your uncle, your grandmother, everybody wants to talk to you. Right? Your uncle. If you don't call, they say, "Oh, you don't like me anymore." I will not write you in my will anymore. And then you think, "Oh, I better talk, otherwise I am not in their will." What do you get? Yeah. So in that way, you can get diverted from your spiritual life. So therefore, if you practice nicely and if you can chant as many rounds in the morning before you go to work, then you'll find that the work outside will be easier, actually. Krishna will arrange for it.
Yeah.
Becomes somewhat easier. I won't say it's completely easy, because if it's too easy, then you won't want to leave the material world. That's the other problem.
So for a devotee, usually there's more pressure.
Oh, you have to chant your rounds. That's the pressure.
No, I mean chanting the rounds is one thing, but if somebody is working outside, is it arranged in such a way that the devotee's life is little more miserable?
It depends on the sincerity of the devotee. If the devotee is just initiated but not interested in spiritual life, then the Lord may not take so much interest in you. He has some interest, but not as much. So he may just let you waddle in the material, suffer a bit. Depends on your desire also. It's not so clear cut. Oh yeah, if you are devotee, definitely. I mean, definitely in the sense, maybe 100 lifetimes, then the Lord will pull you back. But within a short lifespan, it's different. You may not see anything. But if you are sincere and you want to do your guru's job properly, and then you feel the fact that you are entangled and then you can't do, then the Lord will come and help you. Yeah, then you will see too much things, and then you will say, I want to give up and go. That may happen. She's sleepy.
Fight.
Oh, who won?
She remember.
Alright, in the material creation, Brahma has to create all kinds of living entities with bodies suitable to their material conditions. Brahma wants to be protected by the Lord because he has to contact many, many vicious living entities. Yeah, it's true. Rakshasas, ghosts, so many things he has to deal with. An ordinary Brahmana may fall from the Brahma Tejas, or the power of Brahminical excellence, due to his association with many fallen conditioned souls. That's why when the Brahmins used to do all the sacrifice, the demons attack, they don't want to curse, because if they do that, then they become just as bad as these guys. They lose all their potency. So they don't want to curse, and in that sense they get killed sometimes because of that.
Is that the reason Vishwamitra comes to
Yes, yes, that's why he called Ram. Right. Brahma, as the supermost Brahmana, is afraid of such a fall down, and therefore he prays to the Lord for protection. So the same thing, every day before you go to work, you have to pray to the Lord. Please protect me. Don't let me be entangled unnecessarily. Let me do my duties, and then let me come back and do service for you. service to you is most important. If you think like that every day, you will give up your job. But I don't know whether you want to think. Huh? But that's
some
how.
points we have to think like that.
Yes.
Otherwise, till day of death, if you are working,
Yes.
what-
Exactly. So you have to start thinking like that, and then you know where you are at, and that's why you get frightened. Will I lose everything, or will I be a devotee? Will I not? So you can't have, like they say, you can't have the cake and eat it too. You got to eat it, or you just leave it.
But if we prematurely, falsely renounce, also that will cause other problems.
Well, you can't do it on yourself. You have to ask your spiritual master, the other devotees with you. In your case, you have to ask your wife, do you think I'm ready? She said, no, just shut up and do your work. Then you know you're not ready. Huh?
But when will we expect that answer? Okay, you can go.
It will happen. It will happen. You think the Lord is not going to arrange for you? It will happen. If that's the case, it will happen. Unless she wants to divorce you, it will happen correctly. But that's how it is. So every morning before you go to work, you pray. Lord, help me, protect me, and Lord Narsinghadev, please protect me from this material. And then you go and do your service and then come back. Your work. So this is a warning for one and all in the spiritual advancement of life. Unless one is sufficiently protected by the Lord, he may fall down from his spiritual position. So we all know our position is very precarious. Therefore, one has to pray constantly to the Lord for protection and the blessing to carry out one's duty. So this is supposed to be done every day. Prabhupada used to pray to the Lord to protect for protection. Lord Chaitanya also entrusted his missionary work to his devotees and assured them of his protection against the onslaught of material affection. The path of spiritual life is stated in the Vedas to be like the edge of a sharpened razor. A little inattentiveness may at once create havoc and bloodshed. But one who is completely surrendered soul, always seeking protection from the Lord in the discharge of his entrusted duties, has no fear of falling into material contamination. Maybe even when someone asks you, okay, can you go and do a presentation, you have to say, Lord, I'm not qualified. I'm going to do what I can. Please. The mood is, even though you're very good, you're not thinking you're good. That's the right attitude. That mood is what is requested, because that's the mood of Brahma also. And he's a pure devotee. He's very qualified. Text 25. So Saudabra Karuno Bhagavan Vivriddha
Karuno Bhagavan Vivriddha
Prema Smitena Nayanam Guruham Vijrimban
Prema Smitena Nayanam Guruham Vijrimban
Uttaya Vishwa Vijayaya Chano Vishadam
Uttaya Vishwa Vijayaya Chano Vishadam
Madhyagira Panayata Purushaha Purana.
Madhyagira Panayata Purushaha Purana.
The Lord, who is supreme and is the oldest of all, is unlimitedly merciful. Unlimitedly merciful. I wish that he may smilingly bestow his benediction upon me by opening his lotus eyes. He can uplift the entire cosmic creation and remove our dejection by kindly speaking his directions. So he's asking the Lord, please tell me what to do. But remember, the Lord is unlimitedly merciful. So to think that the Lord is unfair, this and that is baseless. There's no solid basis for that. Because here Brahma is saying that he is unlimitedly merciful. So to blame the Lord for our problems in life and so on is wrong. Because how can you blame the Lord for problems you create? Right? You have to accept that the problems that you go through are actually your own doing. Somehow you have to come to that conclusion. In any situation, whether in your workplace or somebody shouts at you really badly, You have to be able to accept that I have somehow done something to be in this situation. That way you don't react to the situation. You won't react based on your senses and your mind. Same in temple situation also. Devotees are not happy with you, that means you must have done something to make them displeased with you. So you have to figure out how to set things correctly. The Lord is unlimitedly merciful. Means if you are also having problems, it's not that the Lord He is not going to help you. He will help you, provided you are sincere and you will pray to Him and ask Him for help. Every day we have to do that. Every day you tell Him, look, I am fallen. I have this problem. I can't give up this, can't give up that. So what do you want me to do? You help me. Somehow you help me give up so I can come back or go back. The beginning you can say, oh Lord, I don't want to go through all these difficulties, but somehow you help me. But later on, as you make advancement, you will say, Lord, I'm ready to serve you anyhow. Ultimately, you become fully served. But you can see how Brahma is praying. And he's giving us many, many important things. And he says, I wish that he may smilingly bestow his benediction. So the Lord smilingly bestows benedictions all the time. Even when Markandeya Rishi wanted to understand the material nature, the Lord smiled and then blessed him. And then Markandeya Rishi was in a turmoil, in the pralaya, in the dissolution when it was happening. He was really scared. Because material nature is not easy to understand. So the Lord was smiling.
To bestow his benediction upon me. So Brahma is asking only for his benediction.
Yeah, so that he can do his duties. He doesn't want to do on his own. He wants the blessing first, then I will do my duty. You understand? Most of us will say, okay, I'll go, okay, see you, go and do it. We think we can do. But Brahma is thinking, even though I am empowered and doing, I want the Lord's blessing. So I won't get covered. And who else said this? Who else said like that also? One personality, any personality in the Bhagavatam? Sukadeva Goswami also said this. He told his father, I'm not coming out because I don't want to get entangled with the material nature. In a sense. And then he said, no, I promise you, you won't get entangled, you come out. He said, no, only if Krishna says so. So Vyasadeva had to go to Dwaraka and bring Krishna. And then Krishna said, you will not get entangled, I promise you. Then he came out. As soon as he came out, he went to the forest.
Kumaras also.
Kumara is different, but I'm saying they came out and asking for a blessing that they don't want to be affected by certain things. Alright, so the Lord can do anything, yeah? If we approach Him in the right mood, He can do anything for us. And that mood is in the attitude of service. And that is our highest perfection. And Prabhupada talks about how the Lord has amazing exchange with the gopis in the purport. But those are transcendental exchanges. It's not to be compared with the mundane man and woman.
So if you are going through chastisement driven by the Lord, and we cannot take it, what do we do? Pray again?
As far as I understand, chastisement that the Lord makes sure you get means you should be able to take it.
He gives the testing first.
You should be. It's just like He will try to push you, but not all the way He'll push you. Up to the threshold like that. So that means the test He sets for you, it's also at the same time the empowerment is there for you to be able to do it. But you have to give up some aspect of your arrogance or ego. So assuming you try and you still weren't successful, it's not that the end result wasn't successful. The fact that you tried for the Lord was successful. Sometimes we always see it as a outcome of that activity, not so much the activity itself. Devotional service is either the activity itself or the outcome, together or separately or individually. Sometimes the Lord may want you to produce some results. And sometimes the Lord not interested in the result. He just wants you to do it. Like in the case of Arjuna, he said, I want you to just fight for me as my instrument, Nimitta Matra. I just want you to be my instrument in this warfare. I've already killed the Kauravas. I only want someone who can take the arrow and the sword. I just need somebody. You want to do it? Yes, no? Like that. So Arjuna was saying, okay, yes. I'll do it. That's how it is. Same thing. So tests are like that, Arjuna had to go through a test also. Right? He could easily say, no, I'm not going to be the cause of this war. No, I'm not. But he didn't, because he understood what the Lord's desire was. So the same thing, when you feel that the test is too much, you have to see what is the desire of your Guru and what's the desire of the Lord. Not what you feel. Ultimately, oftentimes we make the mistake because we always think how I feel. I can't handle it now. I'm going back. Yeah. Right? So that's why we make mistakes. But that's not the case here. And the Lord Brahma is in charge of the entire universe. It's such a big responsibility, and you can get very puffed up when so many people will start reporting to you, right? It's true. The demigods will come to Brahma every now and then with asking for some signature or some advice like that. So he has to say yes, no, like that. So then he'll think, I'm such a great person. But it's not true. So he's worried that this might affect his path. So he says he doesn't want that. So that's why he's asking for protection. Text 26. Maitreya Vacha Swasambhavam Nishamyaivam Tapo Vidya Samadhibihi Yavan Mano Vacha Stutva Virarama Sakhinnavat. The sage Maitreya said, O Vidura, after observing the source of his appearance, namely the personality of Godhead, Brahma prayed for his mercy as far as his mind and words would permit him. Thus having prayed, he became silent, as if tired from his activities of penance, knowledge and mental concentration. So even though he had so much, he himself didn't know how else to progress. He was like, Lord, I've asked you, please. And then he's just waiting for the Lord to answer.
So Brahma's asking about the Lord seems to be more elaborate than Arjuna's asking. Arjuna basically says, Prapanna, I have now surrendered, you give me some advice. It happened very quickly, but here Brahma is having a much more longer dialogue and glorifying.
Yeah, you can see, we compared to even the second canto, this is more detailed, the way he's talking. You find it slightly more details. So, as Prabhupada says, Brahma doesn't know, could not ascertain the source of his appearance, but after penance he came. So, Prabhupada gives a summary of everything that has taken place so far. So he can only turn to his spiritual master, the Lord. So he's now waiting for the Lord to at least tell him, okay, do the service or something. Okay, so let's continue. Athadi pritam anvikshya Brahmano Madhusudana Visanna Chetasam Chena Kalpavyadi Karambasa Lokasamsthana vijnana
Lokasamsthana vijnana
Atmana parikidyataha
Atmana parikidyataha
Sammahagajjaya vacha
Sammahagajjaya
Kashmalam samayam niva
Krishmadam
just like Arjuna. The Lord saw that Brahma was very anxious about the planning and construction of the different planetary systems and was depressed upon seeing the devastating water. So Brahma is also afraid of the water. He could understand the intention of Brahma, and thus he spoke in deep, thoughtful words, removing all the illusion that has arisen. Basically, Brahma was frightened also. He sees all the devastation. It's like you were sitting in the middle of a tsunami, So, how calm can you get, right? Yeah. And he, in his position, is all dark actually, except for the lotus area. All alone, and then he can see a lot. And he's feeling comfortable, but still he's feeling anxious. How am I going to do this once the Lord goes? Kind of worried. So from now onwards, the Lord will respond to Brahma's prayers and address his fears and so on, and give him permission to continue the creation. Now, Prabhupada also gives a summary of how the modes of material nature interact to create different varieties. It will be spoken later on, but we can just go through that quickly. All the planets in the universe are situated according to the different rates of living entities under the influence of the modes of material nature. So, type of modes of material nature. According to the grades, they have different planets. There are 3 modes of material nature, and when they are mixed with one another, they become 9 combination. When the 9 are mixed, they become 81. And the 81 also become mixed, and thus we ultimately do not know how the delusion increases and increases. So this mixing takes place until it's 8.4 million species. But even within each species, there's so much variations. So therefore, Prabhupada says we do not know how the delusion increases and increases. Lord Brahma had to accommodate different places and situations for the requisite bodies of the conditioned souls. The task was meant only for Brahma. No one in the universe can even understand how difficult it was. But by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to execute the tremendous task so perfectly that everyone is amazed to see the workmanship of the Vidata or the regulator. Isn't it? The world, we look at it, we think somehow it became, somehow. But actually Brahma is involved. Text 29. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Veda Garbhagastandrim
Veda Garbhagastandrim
Sarga Udyamam Mavaha
Sarga Udyamam Mavaha
Tanmaya Paditam Hi Agre
Tanmaya Paditam Agre
Yanmam Prarthayate Bhavan
Yanmam Prarthayate Bhavan.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead then said, O Brahma, O depth of Vedic wisdom, be neither depressed nor anxious about the execution of creation. What you are begging from me has already been granted before. Like mercy. Mercy is given already. He's saying, I've already granted before.
Similar to I've already killed. Similar to I've already killed these.
Yes, I've already killed. You just have to do the duty. And the purport Prabhupada writes, any person authorized by either the Lord or his bona fide representative is already blessed, as is the work entrusted to him. There you go. That means the work can be done. Okay, answers your question, Prabhupada. It's done. It's doable, but you have to have faith and do it. Okay, so if you have faith, sufficient faith, you should be able to do it. Of course, the person entrusted with such a responsibility should always be aware of his incapability and must always look for the mercy of the Lord. That means even if somebody says, please do it, I know you can do it, you cannot think you are qualified to do it. You should only think I am doing it because I am entrusted by this person, I will do it on his behalf. So we must look for the mercy of the Lord for the successful execution of our duty. One should not be puffed up because he is entrusted with certain executive work. If you are a temple president, GBC, some position, head of education, this, you cannot think you are very big. It's only for a temporary situation. Tomorrow someone else will sit in the same position. One Brahma, Indra, all of these are positions. Fortunate is he who is so entrusted. So the other thing is, if you are entrusted with that means you are fortunate. Bhagyavan. The Lord is entrusting such a task, so you are Bhagyavan. And he is always fixed in the sense of being subordinate to the will of the Supreme. He is sure to come out successful in the discharge of his work. So how is he going to be successful? He is always subordinate to the will of the Supreme. Yes. That mood must be there. Anyone who takes pride in doing responsible work but does not give credit to the Supreme Lord is certainly falsely proud and cannot execute anything nicely. Brahma and persons in the line of his disciplic succession who follow in his footsteps are always successful in the discharge of loving, transcendent service to the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada said, those who follow in the same way are successful. Definitely successful. So in the same way we should think like that. I'm doing it for Prabhupada, my Guru, so I will be successful. Because they will bless and make sure it is successful. But I personally cannot do it. Text 30. Bhuyastvam tapa atista
Bhuyastvam tapatishta
Vidyam chaiva mad ashrayam
Vidyam chaiva manashrayam
Abhyam mantaridi brahman
Samyam mantariti brahman
Lokan drakshyasi aparvritam
Lokan rakshasi aparvatam
O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. So Brahma did some penance to get the Lord's audience. Now the Lord says, now to get your abilities again, I want you to continue with this penance and meditation.
So Maharaj was saying, like, first time he was Gopal Mantra, the second is Brahma Gayatri, second time the Lord was asking
Karma. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. So he's telling him what to do.
So the home department must have cooperated very well. Mother Saraswati has led Brahma to go and do all these austerities.
Must be. So Prabhupada explains.
Yeah, that's all.
No, the Saraswati is talking about is the Lakshmi, goddess.
No, he's talking about Brahma's wife.
No, that's not.
That's not there yet.
So it's yours.
How was it?
Not talking about that.
You just have to know how to access it.
No, the Lord's mercy is there. The mercy the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. So we don't know how the mercy is coming sometimes. Or if it comes, it's amazing. But his mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. That means you have to do devotional service sincerely and seriously. Even though it's difficult, you have to do it. That is our penance and perseverance. Like getting up in the morning and all those things. We always find some reason not to get up. But if you continue doing, then you get the results of it. But if you don't get up, then how can you expect the results? So you have to think about it. Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the planetary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. So from Divya Gyan, from in his heart, the Lord will reveal. You will see later on. The directions were to come from within, and there was no necessity for anxiety in that task. Now, of course, he was anxious, but then now the Lord assures him, you meditate and I will give you from the heart. Just like the verse in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yenamam upayamati. Yeah. So from within, I'll give you the way to come to me. So that's the same way. Because the example is within the wood there's fire. So the same way everything is present within the Lord. So you just have to meditate on the Lord who's the super soul in everyone's heart. Like that. Text 31. Tata atmani loke cha
Tathātmani loke ca
bhakti-yukta samahitaha
bhakti-yukta samahitaha
drastasi mam tatam brahman
drashtasi mam tatam brahman
mayi lokam swam atmanaha.
mayi lokam svam atmanaha.
O Brahma, when you absorbed in devotional service, in the cause of your creative activities, you will see me in you and throughout the universe, and you will see that you yourself, the universe, and the living entities are all in me. Huh?
All the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes. Like I said, there should be no contradiction.
Yeah.
It's perfect. So therefore, what you read here, Bhagavad Gita, should all be the same. This is like the third Chatur Sloki also.
Yeah.
So this is like the Lord tells Brahma to do his sadhana bhakti so that he can see him everywhere. So the same thing here. If he does his devotion service, he can see the Lord everywhere. So similarly, if you are sincerely doing devotion service, you will also see the Lord everywhere. You should be able to see Lord everywhere. That means you see everything connected to the Lord. Because this person is a devotee of Lord Krishna, connected. Like that. You always see something connected to the Lord.
But that's the second Chaturshloki. The third one is I am both within and without.
Yeah,
So
he's inside and outside. So you can
So
see
this is the
the
third
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everywhere. What happened?
Door is keep opening.
Oh, maybe somebody is trying to come in. Text 32. Yada tu sarva bhuteshu
Yada tu sarva bhuteshu
darushvagnim iva stitam
tarvashvagnim
pratikchakshita mam loko
pratikshita mam loko
jayatarhyeva kashmalam.
jayatari kashmanam.
You will see me in all living entities as well as all over the universe, just as fire is situated in wood, as I was saying before. Only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be free from all kinds of illusion. So again, similar to Chatusloki 34 and 35 verses. Like that. So here in the purport again, Prabhupada writes, Brahma prayed that he might not forget his eternal relationship with the Lord during the course of his material activities. In answer to that prayer, the Lord said that he should not think of existing without a relationship with his omnipotency. The example is given of the fire in wood. The fire kindled in wood is always the same, although the wood may be of different types. Similarly, the bodies within the material creation may be specifically different according to shape and quality, but the spirit souls within them are not different from one another. The quality of fire, warmth is the same everywhere, and the spiritual spark or part of and parcel of the Supreme Spirit is the same in every living being. Thus, the potency of the Lord is distributed all over His creation. This transcendental knowledge alone can save one from the contamination of material illusion. That means you see everything as part and parcel of the Lord. And if you can see that, you are not contaminated. Since the Lord's potency is distributed everywhere, a pure soul or devotee of the Lord can see everything in relationship with the Lord. And therefore, he has no affection for the outer coverings. That pure spiritual conception makes him immune to all contamination of material association. The pure devotee never forgets the touch of the Lord in all circumstances. So that's the difference. We forget every day, every moment we forget. Only once in a while we just remember, oh yes. Text 33. Yadarahitam atmanam
Yadarahitam atmanam
bhutendriya gunasayai
bhutendriya gunashayai
swarupena mayopetam
sarupena mayopetam
pasyan swarajyam vichati.
pasyan swarajyam vichati.
When you are free from the conception of gross and subtle bodies, and when your senses are free from all influences of the modes of material nature, you will realize your pure form in my association. At that time, you will be situated in pure consciousness.
Science of consciousness.
Uh,
Science of consciousness.
Yes.
Step by step.
so he's also telling him how he should behave when he's doing things and so on. Gross and subtle, you should be free from all those kind of conceptions. Everything is related to Krishna.
My question was like, it's just pure consciousness that
Act on the soul, level of the soul, not on the level of the body.
Brahma is but already on transcendental, is praying for the Lord.
He's still in his mental body. Yeah. His body is made of intelligence. So he also still has a material body. Yeah. So at that time you'll be situated in pure consciousness, means you are always thinking of doing it as a service for Krishna. So when you're doing everything for the Lord, then definitely you're free from the conception of gross and subtle. And your senses will be free from the influence of the modes of material nature. Because even Brahma is effect.
Even you have intelligence, he has a form, material form.
He still has a material.
He says gross and subtle.
He is a certain body.
When you are free from the conception.
Yeah, conception. So basically he has to just do service for them. Do whatever senses he has, he use it for the service. So Prabhupada says, a person whose only desire is to render transcendental loving service to the Lord is a free person in any condition of material existence. So whatever his situation is he's doing, he's only thinking, I have to do first. That attitude, that service attitude is the Swarupa or real form of the living entity. So you can also see how you're developing your Swarupa. That means how your consciousness is. Service, yeah. Because Jivera Swarupa, Krishna Nitya.
So given that we have propensity to continuously forget, only occasionally we remember Krishna. So we do devotional service, but it's not
So it will change.
so gradual change.
It will change that you will continuously remember Krishna and go less into material consciousness and finally no more.
Cultivation.
It's a matter of practice. The process is sadhana bhakti. It's a matter of practicing it properly.
So Narada attains a spiritual body, but nothing like that is given.
No, that's
to-
different. No, Narada is different.
That also he, in first lifetime he goes
Yeah,
back
right
into
away.
Brahma, then he comes back, right? Into Narada, given a spiritual body after Krishna appears to him and says, "You're not pure."
That's
Right
when
now.
he is still in the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when
At
he
the end of his life, he's given a spiritual body
after that,
and to become one of the Avesha of Lord Krishna as a mental son of Brahma.
Next day.
Yeah, the next day.
next year.
Okay. Yeah, so
Next before.
Prabhupada then writes towards a little few lines of, actually no one is master here in the material world, and therefore the servants of the senses have a very bad experience of servitude. They shudder at the thought of service because they have no knowledge of the transcendental position. In transcendental loving service, the servitor is as free as the Lord. The Lord is Swarat, or fully independent, and the servant is also fully independent, or Swarat, in the spiritual atmosphere because there's no forced service. There, the transcendental loving service is due to spontaneous love. Okay, in the spiritual, once you come to the level, you are spontaneously wanting to serve Krishna. Here, you are spontaneously avoiding service. Yes.
Artificial position.
Yeah, artificially you don't want to. So this is how the Mayavaris and all think. No? They don't want to do any service to anybody because they all got.
People think it will be forced or you're taking advantage, you will be taken advantage of, or things like that. I think there's a people a little bit
No,
averse to the idea of service.
I mean, that may be true, but if it is focused on Krishna,
Yeah.
then you will not be overtaken by anybody. But if your focus is on materially job, you try to be like that, then sorry, they're going to take advantage of you for sure.
Yeah.
Point is how you're connecting to Krishna. When you're out there, you may have to act like them, but then you're doing it again as a service.
Yeah.
Consciousness.
Yeah. So how you place yourself within that environment, like but to go there and not be affected by the material, you have to be inoculated. That's why you have to chant your rounds properly, or before you go to work. Then you're inoculated for that day. Then you can withstand whatever influence there. If you can't, then you struggle. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down, and up and down. So your devotional service is up and down. Tarangini. Waves. Right?
Yeah.
So then we have to think like that. How not to let them.
Yeah, I would just say that in our case personally, or even while telling people, the idea of service is like, we say service is this thinking about, okay, I don't want to give completely in service
Yeah.
because there
See,
is this,
look, nobody is going to surrender if they don't see examples of surrender.
yeah. So we have to do that.
So if you want to talk high philosophy, then you must put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Or you ain't saying any.
Yeah.
So that's how it is, probably.
Yeah.
Ultimately, that's what it is. Most people will only surrender if they see someone else's surrender.
Yeah.
Unless you have that level, then you saw Prabhupada surrender so much. Then you see his disciples, so many of them are like that because they saw the example.
Then we are seeing them.
Yeah. So that's how it is. But anyway, it's not. It is doable. It's just how much we are convinced by the whole thing and how much faith you have. Shadavan bhajate yoma yukta. That person is the topmost yogi. Because he's following everything strictly. No, he can't be at that level. So service has to be learnt, and then you have to do it. And if there's any material contamination, then you're not going to be happy in that service long. You will give it up. Therefore, you see people, they will volunteer for service, and they'll do some service. And particularly deity worship. A lot of times, new second initiate will come. I want to do. Within less than 6 months, they'll give up because they can't sustain that. They can't sustain. But actually, deity worship means you are at the level where you can sustain. Second initiation is given to devotees who are fixed. But Here we just give left, right, and center.
Mercy of Haridas Prabhu.
Huh?
Mercy of Haridas Prabhu and Prabhupada.
So when you don't do nicely, you blame him, right?
No, even we are not qualified, we are given chance.
And then you don't do the service, right? I'm not qualified.
I've been trying to do. I've been trying and then fail.
Exactly, that's how we all say. Oh, I'm not qualified, I stay at home. I'll sleep, I'm so unqualified.
Too
Let me
humble
just
for-
sleep a little bit more.
Too humble to do so.
Yeah,
Then meeting will happen.
but that's not the case. All this is set up so that you are going back to Godhead, not to dig more inside the material world. But that's our experience. Right? So truly a real true service in this material world is only seen in the case of a parent and child, particularly a mother with a child. Otherwise you don't see any real service unless you are devoted to the Supreme. Yeah. So therefore we have to cultivate it. As I said before, if you really want to make other people surrender, you have to surrender. Which means, what does it mean you have to surrender? That means you'll do whatever you can do. Not that you can do and you say, I don't want to do, or I'll keep quiet. If I keep quiet long enough, they'll miss me. So someone else will do it. That means you are not willing to surrender or take up extra austerity, which is what pleases the Supreme Lord. So basically, you don't want to please the Lord. Ultimately, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So sometimes, it's true, right? You hear, oh, we need help and so on. How many times you put down your hand? We need volunteers, then you put your hand. So that's surrender. So you have to see, oh, I can do it. So you say, I do. Then you can see yourself, oh, I can't do it because I have other things to do same time. So then I can't do it. Like that. So that level of honesty must be there. Then the Lord will become favorable to you. Bhagavan Sattvatam Pati, then he is your protector. Right? Then you can meditate on Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Dehe Pujasya Nityara. Eternally. It functions like that, otherwise it's not possible. So the real service or service is Swarupa. That is in the transcendental world. But here our Swarup here is that service. The service attitude must be perfected. Then you get your eternal service. Otherwise we will just be lip service. That's what we are good at. Right? But this, every one of you, because you are the future, I'm telling you. So unless you set that example, it's not going to happen. It's just going to be drips and drabs, and you won't see that kind of push like Prabhupada had, because everybody did it together. Otherwise, you have some devotees doing nice, some are not doing. So you have factions, fight and separate. Text 34. Nana karma vitanena prajabhavi sistrikshataha natma vasidati asminste vashiyan mad anugraha. Since you have desired to increase the population innumerably and expand your varieties of service, you shall never be deprived in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time.
Haribol.
What a blessing. The Lord was satisfied with his prayers, and the Lord is in his heart and understood that he's a devotee. He wants to please the Lord, not himself. So therefore he's saying, my mercy is always will increase for all time. Text 35. ऋषिमध्यं न बध्नाति पापीयं स्वं रजोगुणः
पापीयं स्वं रजोगुणः
यन्मनोमयि निर्बद्धं
यन्मनोमयि निर्बद्धं
प्रजा संसृजतोऽपि ते.
प्रजा संसृजतोऽपि ते.
You are the original Rishi, and because your mind is always fixed on me, even though you will be engaged in generating various progeny, the vicious mode of passion will never encroach upon you. So he's a pure devotee. So in the Bhagavatam, when you are reading, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. In the Bhagavatam, when you are reading, you'll see sometimes Brahma is himself bewildered. So Brahma is bewildered because the Lord bewilders him, not otherwise. Yeah. And the Lord does it to advance his devotees. That's why the Lord places them in difficult situations, so that they can make advancement themselves. So here, particularly, the Lord is assuring Brahma, don't worry, I am your protector. I'm there, don't worry. Text 36. Jnatoham bhavata tu adya
ज्ञातोऽहं भवता
durvijñeyopi dehinam
दुर्विज्ञेयो देहिनां
yanmam tvam manyase yuktam
यन्मां मन्यसे युक्तं
bhutendriya gunatmabhi.
भूतेन्द्रियगुणात्मभिः.
Although I am not easily knowable by the conditioned soul, you have known me today because you know that my personality is not constituted of anything material, and specifically not of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. It makes it very clear. And you can understand, he says that very clearly, whereas your Mayavadis and all, they say the Lord has material bodies. Of course, they will reinterpret the translation, word, Sanskrit, and all. But the point is, it's very clear. The Lord is not of the material nature. And Brahma, remember, he appreciated the Lord's the spiritual form and so on. So here the Lord is reciprocating also. So Prabhupada writes, Brahma appreciated the eternal form of the Lord in that way, and the personal God, he approved of Brahma's spiritual conception. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord condemned the material conception of Krishna's body, which arises because he is apparently present like a man. What is that word?
Avijananti.
Yes, Avijananti Mahamudra
Manushim Tanamashtam. Param Bhava.
Ajananto Mahamudra. So they don't know who I am. They consider me to be an ordinary guy. But actually I am beyond all this. I am transcendent.
So in Prabhupada's book, it is translated as fools deride me when I descend my human form. And I went to the Bhatal temple, the Hindu temple, and there was a Bhagavad Gita there. Fools think that I have a human form. That's how they have translated. I don't have form and I never will have form.
Oh, the second part is wrong. Yeah.
Oh, then they're saying I never have a form.
Yeah, basically they use the same type of translation.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks similar, but then they change it.
You said fools think that I have a form. That's what.
Yeah. There are so many books out
I don't know
there.
how they translate that one from the Abhyaktam Vyaktim Apannam Padyate.
They all play with the Sanskrit rules.
Yeah.
So you have
Because
to
that
see.
one was clearly I wanted
lot
to
of
see.
these Sanskrit, they don't even follow any rules.
Yeah.
They just translate.
This is whatever they come
So
to.
a lot of people
It's
they
a
just put what
jugglery.
they want to do.
It's a jugglery. They prefer this translation to
Just
that.
do what
Like
they want
that.
to do.
They tell us we are playing with the Sanskrit.
No, you can get an objective translator. You can see some of these Western scholars. They will come. The translation cannot be any other way. So you will see, unless they are influenced also. But generally, most people I don't see. If they are impersonalists, yeah, they won't
Most of them are not even scholars. They are rascals.
No, those, yeah, but some scholars you can see the paper they translate. You can see they say about a lot, but then because they're influenced by all this Mayavad principle, they also conclude that way.
Their whole understanding is that Vedas means it's all
Hmm.
monism. Monism.
What happened? Oh, okay.
No support.
All right, text 37. Tubhyam vichikitsayam atma me dashito bahi nalena salile moolam skarasya vichimbataha. When you were contemplating whether there was a source to the stem of the lotus of your birth, and you even entered into that stem, you could not trace out anything. But at that time, I manifested my form from within. Purport. The personal Godhead can be experienced only by His causeless mercy, not by mental speculation or with the help of material senses. Material senses cannot approach the transcendent understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can be approached only by submissive devotional service when He reveals Himself before the devotee. Only by love of Godhead can one know God and not otherwise. So, again here you can see, to see the Lord, you must have a spiritual eyes opened by the ointment of love of Godhead. The point here is, even though Brahma went down the stem, he couldn't see because the Lord, even though he had manifested his form, he couldn't see because he didn't have the adhikar at that time. The Lord didn't allow him to see. So Prabhupada says you cannot use mental speculation or anything. It's up to the Lord to reveal Himself. Even to the gopis, remember? Even though they were qualified, He disappeared from them. So it's up to that. It's His mercy, causeless mercy. His swara. It's up to Him.
The thing is, Lord is saying, Lord is noticing that he's going up and down.
Yeah, He was watching him.
So Lord is watching all of us, or all the mental speculators that they're trying, but they can't try.
Basically, the Lord said He's in His heart. I was already seeing what you're going through.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how can the Lord say He knows what He was contemplating? It's in the heart. So He's saying, but at that time I manifested my form from within. Yeah, from within. That's how I see it. Yeah.
Very similar to how from Guru Maharaj's heart he comes in front and
Right.
So when he's saying my form from within, he's saying from Brahma. What does it mean from within?
I understood it as from Brahma's heart. He's already there.
Oh, okay, and he manifests.
Yeah. Text 38. Yacchakartangamatstotram Matkathadyudayankitam Yadva tapasite nishta Sa esha mad anugraha. O Brahma, the prayers that you have chanted, praising the glories of my transcendental activities, the penances you have undertaken to understand me, and your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered my causeless mercy.
But He's still pleased.
He's pleased
But
because
He's still pleased.
because Brahma didn't think he was the doer. That's the difference. Whatever Brahma was able to chant, the Lord had empowered him to chant. Whatever he could do, the Lord has given him the potency. But Brahma was not thinking, I am the one who's doing. He's thinking, I am not qualified, but something I will have to sing, praise. Everything is the Lord. Right? So therefore, he's telling Brahma, just like, another interesting pastime was when Haridas Thakur in the 21 marketplaces, right? He got bitten, and then the Lord told him, actually I was the one who was getting whipped. Yeah. It's like an empowerment. So the same way. All these are to be considered my causeless mercy. So when we take the time to do service or the austerities to do something for the deities, and all that will be turned to become mercy. Or like Prabhupada said, all the difficulties was my ecstasy. Because it becomes the Lord's mercy. Just a fine line. Okay, so then Prabhupada writes in the purport, such spiritual perfection is not limited by material qualifications, but is developed by dint of one's sincere endeavor to render transcendental service. So that is the qualification. The sincere endeavor. Voluntary endeavor is the only qualification for spiritual perfection. So, do I see volunteers? Material acquisitions of wealth or education are not considered. So we have to be very careful. You treat people with wealth and education nicely, but it's not a qualification for pleasing the Lord. Text 39. Itoham astu bhadraante lokanam vijayachaya astosi gunamayam nirgunam manu varnayan. I'm very much pleased by your description of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, which appear mundane to the mundaners. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all the planets by your activities. The Lord was pleased with his praise.
Yeah, when I read this the first time, when I read the previous verse, he's telling that the prayers that you have chanted praising the glories of my transcendental activity. So that is also his special mercy.
Yes.
And then because Brahma is you chanting nicely, the Lord is pleased.
Yeah.
I was very amazed by that.
Well, the thing is, it's empowerment, no? The Lord's energy empowers us, so that is his energy, and through the empowerment, he's able to sing nicely. So the Lord said, that is also my mercy.
But he's still pleased.
Yeah, because you are not thinking you are the
The
doer.
doer.
Yeah, that's what pleases the Lord. That means his complete surrender. Brahma is completely surrendered, so
What
he's so
pleases
happy.
is attitude.
Huh? His attitude.
Please is of not thinking of something.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Lord has transcendental qualities, and we should understand that. And not mundane qualities like text 40. Yayatena puman nityam stutva stotrena mam bhaje asyashu samprasideyam sarvakama vareshwaraha. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires, for I am the Lord of all benediction. So here the Lord is giving a benediction also. Through the Guru Parampara, through Sukadeva Goswami, through Krishna, through Maitreya Muni, you are getting the benediction. If you pray like Brahma, you will also get the fulfillment.
So Brahma prays in two ways. One is he glorifies the Lord, and second, he doesn't think of him as a doer.
Yeah.
And he does things.
Yes. Just do service.
Yes, do
Essence.
something.
Sincerely, just do for the pleasure of the Lord. That's all.
And he is the head of our parampara.
Yeah. So you can see. So therefore, you should learn to become like Brahma because he's our Acharya, Param Acharya, Sampradaya Acharya. The prayers offered by Brahma cannot be chanted by anyone who desires to fulfill his own sense gratification. Okay?
Same thing you're saying.
Doesn't work. You can pray, but Krishna will change it to He'll drag you and change you into a devotee. Such praise can be selected only by a person who wants to satisfy the Lord in His service. Okay.
So what happens if somebody does pray and has
You may
desire
get some pious results. That's about it. At most pious. Or if it's offensive, then he won't get anything. He'll just go down.
So somewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita, if somebody chants incorrectly, it is like hurting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or something to that effect. Like if somebody is offensively chanting, you are actually hurting me.
That is Maya. And the Mayavadis chant the holy name. It's a different.
No, I don't know.
When we offend
I can't remember.
devotees,
Yeah, there is something in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm not recalling
Okay.
exactly. It says that you can chant, but if you chant offensively, then it is like hurting me, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says.
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought I've heard that if we offend the devotees, then it's like hurting,
It's like
lashes on
hurting him.
Chaitanya.
Yeah, that is true. Like if you offend a devotee, he said everything that he took away from Jagai and Madai will come to those persons. Yeah, that's what I don't know. Yeah, that's a passerby on his golden dhoti. There's a small black spot, something like that. And that is all that thing that he took away from Jagai and Madai. Something that I may have mixed up, but he'll go to whoever is offensive to devotees.
So my daughter is saying, whenever you offend mommy, that's how it becomes.
She's like your guru there.
Right close to my ear.
Chaitya Guru. External manifestation of your Chaitya Guru. Anyway, alright, let's continue. 41, right? Puttena tapasa yagnai
Putrena tapasa yajnai
Dhane yoga samadhina
Dhaniryoga samadhina
Ardam neshreyasam pumsam
Radham nishreyasam pumsam
Matpriti tadvavin matam.
Matpriti sattvatim matam.
It is the opinion of expert transcendentalists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional good works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction. So whatever we should be doing, no matter what kind of activity, it is all meant for the Lord's pleasure. So the Vedas, everything, the activities are meant for the Lord's pleasure. Whatever show, whatever drama, whatever things we do, it has to be for the Lord's pleasure. But if you go to spiritual world, everything is done for the Lord's pleasure. In Vaikuntha, all the way into Goloka, everything set up for the Lord's pleasure. In pleasing the Lord, we get the happiness, or we enjoy the relationship. So the same thing here is perverted. We do everything for our pleasure.
That's the focus.
The Lord is calling us. He said that his flute, when he plays, it talks to each individual jiva in the whole universe.
In a different way.
Each one will hear that his name is being called. So yeah, so whatever we do, it has to be meant for the Lord. Whatever artwork, whatever tradition, whatever
No, but it should have missed.
concert you do, whatever. Huh? Anything and everything you do has to be connected to Krishna. So Prabhupada gives the example of Arjuna in the battlefield.
He's not there in the college.
Not there.
He said Arjuna had to fight for the Lord. He didn't want to fight, but Krishna wanted the fight. So when you only hear that statement, then you'll think Krishna is a bad person. But when you know the whole story, you understand how bad the Kauravas were. Right? So anyway, the bottom line was for the satisfaction of the Lord. You shouldn't hesitate to do what the Lord wanted. So even if the action may seem bad, if it satisfies the Lord, it is perfect.
It's like Yudhishthir's action.
Yeah.
Even the Arjuna's fight also, when people still
When Yudhishthira was told to say Ashwatthama was dead, he hesitated because he is perfect in his dharma, so therefore he was attached to that portion. Doesn't mean he wasn't pure, it's just a pastime. So he says Ashwatthama is dead, then he silently says the elephant. But when he says the elephant, Krishna tells them to blow the conch. So Dronacharya can't hear the word elephant. And so Dronacharya just he said, if Yudhishthira says my son is dead, then I will believe. Because when Bhima kills the elephant, he shouts, Ashwatthama is dead. And then all the other Pandavas also say Ashwatthama is dead. Then Dronacharya, I will not believe, even if Ashwatthama, I will not believe we all. I will only believe in Yudhishthira. Then he asks Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira will say, Ashwatthama is dead. Then he'll put his head down and say, the elephant. But when he said the elephant, Krishna and everyone tell them to blow the conch. Well, we see it as trick and all, but actually it's a pastime. For people who don't accept Krishna, so people say, yeah, he tricked, he's a bad person. Because it's for them, these things are to take them away because they're not devotees. As devotees, we just laugh at it and say, Krishna is so tricky like that, But so that hesitation by Yudhishthira was not.
It was not pleasing for them.
Wasn't pleasing. Yeah. So we should do it for the Lord. We must please the Lord because we want to please Him. The Lord told Arjuna to kill all of the people, so he killed all of them. But he was empowered. He was empowered. So he was Krishna at that time, shooting the arrows.
I am Pandava.
Yeah, he says among the Pandavas I am Arjuna. So he empowered Arjuna. So he could kill. Who could match Arjuna? One hand, the Gandiva jumps from one hand to another hand. Doom, doom. Then shoot left hand. Then that's why he's Savyasachi.
Oh, yeah, both hands.
Yeah. When you think about it, it's amazing how boom, then he goes this way, then boom, this way. And he's fighting almost at the speed of the mind. I mean, it's very fast.
He didn't even have time to tell Krishna to drive the chariot.
No, Krishna could know what to do, so they were very good. They were just going. It's a mess, bloody mess, I can tell you. When you read the Mahabharata, you know it's terrible war. But the Lord wanted that.
So one of the students in our Bhakti class, they were asking like even Krishna knows this, and Krishna should have stopped this fight.
Yeah.
So and they had like different understanding. Like there are some pradhas where they criticize or like blame Krishna. Krishna is the god, and he should have stopped the fight, and why he made Arjuna to kill so many people.
Yeah, well, you get all kinds of this kind of
Yeah,
people.
so either from moral perspective they were looking.
Yeah, they only seeing from moral point. Oh yeah. But you know the whole story. So you should ask them, do you know the whole story? See, in Kali Yuga, everybody wants everyone to be, I'm okay,
Nice.
you okay.
Nice. They want-
That's the consciousness. Huh?
Doing this result, it's like removing the weeds in a field. That has to be done.
Yeah, that situation
remove it.
arises.
The Lord comes for establishing
To set up the right ruler. That's what it is. Yudhishthira, you would
They had
want
to
that.
place. Not only that, all these kings were
The nonsense.
malicious, terrible kings.
They're weeds.
The Prabhupada also said in one time, like Krishna wanted this war because all the Duryodhan with a diplomatic mind, he can call all the asuras in this battle and he can kill all the.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Bring all of them.
Yeah,
there,
all the
yeah.
time in one shot.
Gotcha. Great.
Because they
Yeah.
will be fighting with
That's
Duryodhan.
okay. Well,
Anyway, the Lord wanted so many things. If people don't read the
Yeah, right perspective.
Bhagavad Gita properly, and if they talk like that, tell them first chant at least a few rounds, then we'll discuss. No, honestly,
Yeah,
if they say, I want to know why Krishna did it, okay, you chant for one day 16 rounds. Tomorrow I'll tell you the answer.
They'll say you don't know the answer.
No, you say for you to know, you must come to a certain spiritual standard to understand this. I'm going to give you something nobody knows. Yeah, because if you were to tell them before, they won't know. So for you to know and
There
understand,
has
you
to
have
be
to chant
qualification.
for 1 day 16 rounds, and you come and I'll tell you why Krishna did this. You'll understand why.
Actually, Mukundata Prabhu came and addressed our students. We are in the same Bhagavad for 4 hours. Very long lecture. So,
Where did put him?
in your home.
Oh yeah.
In your home.
He's saying he's going decade back.
Your husband is in a different realm. He's Avadut. Avadut to Shiromani.
Different yoga.
He's going a decade back.
Different yoga. That's biggest yoga past.
He's too transcendental. Sometimes I don't understand you.
I'm told actually I want.
No, you're not. You're a very happy person. You're very
Prashanta,
Yeah.
Prashant is very
Paravan.
happy.
Paramahamsa.
Paraman.
Paramananda. That's true.
Supreme bliss. Supreme
Okay. Let's continue. Text
We can
42.
also share this point that Krishna came as a peacemaker to on behalf of Pandavas. Right? It is not that he immediately asked Pandavas go and fight.
Okay, remember you read in the earlier on the 3rd canto where when Vidura was asking Uddhava, and then at that one point Srila Prabhupada explains why this war happened. What did he say? There's one reason only. He refused to give
Even I will go.
this village for them to rule because they are Kshatriya. Then Krishna said, fine, you'll fight. That's it.
There is no point to blame Krishna because he tried his best.
Yeah, he says Kshatriya has to rule, so you don't give, and you cheated them. So, okay, what else to do? So, there are many reasons you can give. But even if you,
Doesn't matter.
even if you give all this, if the person is not qualified, they cannot accept it. So, that's why I say, if you meet people who ask, you tell them to chant. You say, I'll tell you all about Krishna, but you chant 1 day 16 rounds.
But they criticize Krishna.
Let them chant first.
But they themselves do the same things too.
Yeah. Well, if you are,
In a
if you are a
non-kind
drunk,
of-
you are a drunkard. How do you know you are drunk? When you are drunk.
Somebody else has to.
Exactly. You don't know. You are drunk. You'll talk, and then you don't know what, right? Correct. No? You're drunk. So when you go and talk to them philosophy, he'll just throw up on you or something like that, right? That's all they do. So it's not possible to educate when they are at that level. Therefore, you should be intelligent. You should see where they are at. Immediately, within a minute, you should know where they are at. And then you give them prasad and invite them temple, and that's it. Don't talk philosophy. No point. No point saying, oh, Krishna did this, Arjuna did that. And then they'll start being offensive.
Which is bad for them.
Yeah, which is bad for them.
To say where they are at. When Haridas Prabhu told me you should know where the person is at, I said, Prabhu, how do I know? He said, you study the 14th chapter very nicely. You understand all the different modes of material nature. You ask them a little bit about their habits, you will know which modes are proper.
Yeah, you
then
will know.
accordingly you give the...
When you talk to them 1, 2 things, then you'll know, generally.
Correct, probably, but instead of getting an argument, what you said is perfect.
Yeah.
You have to always encourage. Even we are our time, like at least our time is like we try to download everything. What we have. They said don't say,
Yeah, you have to
nicely,
understand, you know.
Bring them.
I agree with you
give prasada.
totally. Yeah. Just give them prasad.
And then after a few Sundays or 6 months, 1 year, they will ask questions.
Yeah, it's like, you know, your capacity is like 1 terabyte and the guy is only 250 megabytes and you try to download. It's a drive crash. Right? Doesn't work.
Smoke coming back.
Yeah.
Prabhu, once Parmanan Prabhu was like coming back from my street lawn, there's a story I heard. And then I think the cop caught him for speeding. Can you tell the story?
Yeah, I know. Then
This is the previous Yuga Prabhu.
previous
This is different incarnation.
what happened then?
This is previous
The
Yuga.
cop asked like, it was I think you were speeding.
So this is the Prabhu.
Speeding. When the cop caught him, you were speeding. Then Prabhu asked him to wait and then started saying, I'm actually taking prasad for my sweet Lord. There are a lot of people who don't have prasad. They are cooking here, they're offering the prasad. They are taking. And then he told a whole story. And then after listening, he said, okay.
I heard he also gave him some present.
He said, yeah, I'll follow you.
I don't know what he understood, but he understood that this is a spiritual person who was doing some good thing. So
No,
Yeah,
I
I told you it's on another one.
Actually, Harira told me that give everything, make sure don't miss it.
Anyway, that's good. We like you. Krishna also is kind.
And then once he went for some class in the library with Sarva Prabhu. I think some English class or something. Both of them went for. At the end of the class, Prabhu took all Prabhupada's books and he gave to all the students.
That's good. Okay, anyway, thanks for this. Aham Atmanam Krista Sandre Yasham Api Ato Mayi Ratim Kurya Deha Diryat Krite Priya. I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearest. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. He is not laying it, he's just saying straight. If you attach to your body, you will be troubled by the three modes of material nature, and then the Adi Bhautika, Adi Devi, all this will affect you. And then you have to deal with your mind also. Prabhupada quotes, Mama Yangsa Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasastani Indriyani Prakritistani Karshi. So, eternally struggling in this material world with the mind and our senses. What is the point? If you turn around and then you start to love the Supreme Lord, then you become very happy. That's what Krishna is. Be attached to me, don't be attached to yourself. Because we understand who Supreme Lord is, we can accept these statements. Ordinary people will say, who does he think he is? Why should we be attached to him? Because they think he's the same as they are. Yeah, that's right, they think we are. So they will start arguing on that basis. But they cannot understand. So you talk to Mayuri, he say, yeah, you can be attached to me, you can attach to yourself, like that. That's how the Mayuri will be saying. Because Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, you are Brahman. So you can be attached to either one of us. So that's poor fund of knowledge, not proper understanding. So in the middle paragraph, Prabhupada writes, in the present verse, stress is given to focusing love upon the Supreme Person of Godhead. The word kuryat is significant here. This means one must have it. It is just to stress that we must have more and more attachment to the principle of love. The influence of Maya is experienced by the part and parcel spiritual entity, but it cannot influence the supersoul, the Paramatma. The Mayavadi philosophers, accepting the influence of Maya on the living entity, want to become one with the Paramatma. But because they have no actual love for Paramatma, they remain ever entrapped by the influence of Maya and are unable to approach the vicinity of Paramatma. This inability is due to their lack of affection for the Paramatma. They cannot develop affection. That's the point. A rich miser does not know how to utilize his wealth, and therefore, in spite of his being very rich, his miserly behavior keeps him everlastingly a poor man. On the other hand, a person who knows how to utilize wealth can quickly become a rich man, even with a small credit balance. It's a matter of how to use it. So I was reading Vyabhavatamrita. So when he is traveling up and up towards the spiritual realm, he comes to Mahakala Loka. So in the Mahakala Loka, the Lord actually is there. But you can't see his features clearly because he's so effulgent. All you see is his effulgence. So then Gopakumar is there when he sees this effulgence and he can see the features. Sometimes the form is there, but can't see everything. So it's usually light. So he says he feels like he wants to, so much affection, love is there, but he wants to go and merge himself. But then because of his meditation on the mantra, he is able to stop himself from that. So it is said that if these Mayavaris and impersonators are successful, they can go to that region, Mahakala place.
Jump into Brahmacharya. From there, jump into Brahmacharya.
Some of them, not all of them. Most Mayavadis only reach up there if they can reach at all.
That's in the material world.
It's outside the universe.
Maha.
It's the boundary.
Boundary in the Baraj.
The side of it. Right?
When we go to, you'll see in the map chart.
Goloka chart.
So yeah, so you can read up all about destinations, each individual where they go and so on. These are there in the Brihad Bhagavatam. It's important you all should know this Brihad Bhagavatam. So you should read when you get the time. Okay. Text 43. Sarvavedamayanidam Atmanatma yonina Yasuja yata purvam Yascha mai anusirate. By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before by dint of your complete Vedic wisdom and the body you have directly received from me, the supreme cause of everything. So he's saying he's the supreme cause, and Brahma should be able to do his service with the knowledge and the body he has been given. Text 44. Maitra Vacha
Maitreya Vacha
Tasmayavam Jagat Srastre
Tasmayevam Jagatsasre
Pradana Purusheshwaraha
Pradana Purusheshwara
Yajjedam Sena Rupena
Yajjedam Sena Rupena
Kanjanabha Stirodade.
Kanjana Vastirodade.
The sage Maitreya said, after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand, the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead, in his personal form as Narayana, disappeared.
Disappeared from his vision, but is still there in the Garbha.
Yeah.
When he's saying as Narayana is Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
Yes.
So is that sometimes used where the Mahavishnu or Garbhodaksha Vishnu can be called as Narayana?
Yes. Because Narayana all the way into Vaikuntha.
Yeah.
Any 400 form you can call Narayana. Yeah. They are called Narayan forms. Yeah. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Brahma's praise for creative energy. I think we'll stop here. Alright, so tomorrow we'll start at Paramananda's house. 10.
The happy devotee.